Hollywood loves to tease us. Studios say yes to sequels, directors share their big ideas, fans get hyped, and then silence. Scripts get put away, budgets run out, and the next big franchise just vanishes. Today we're diving into the films that were this close to getting sequels. Planned, announced, and then gone. From surprise flops to behind-the-scenes chaos, these are the sequels that were supposed to happen but never made it to your screen. Fantastic Four 2. Let's start with one of the most famous superhero disasters of the 2010s. In 2015, Fox tried to reboot the Fantastic Four one more time. They hired Josh Trank, who made the hit movie Chronicle, to direct a dark and serious version. Fox hoped this would start their own superhero movie series. And here's where it gets interesting. Fox was so confident they announced a sequel for June 2017 before the movie even came out. The ending showed the team finally getting their name and ready for more adventures. They even planned a Doctor Doom spin-off movie and wanted to connect it with the X-Men movies. But then everything fell apart. The studio didn't like the director's version, so they made him reshoot a lot of the movie. When it came out, critics destroyed it, only 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. It made just $168 million against a $120 million budget. Just 3 months after release, in November 2015, Fox quietly canceled the sequel from its schedule, and by 2019, Disney's acquisition of Fox permanently killed any hope of continuation. Tron Ascension. Next up, let's talk about a franchise that Disney desperately wanted to revive. In 2010, Disney brought back Tron with Tron Legacy, a visually stunning movie with music by Daft Punk. It made $400 million and gained a loyal fan base. Back then, Disney had already acquired Marvel, but had not yet acquired Lucasfilm. And since the Marvel Cinematic Universe was still in its early stages, Tron remained their primary science fiction focus. In March 2015, Disney gave Tron 3 the green light. The same director and actors were coming back. Filming was set to start in October 2015. The story would show what happens when digital beings escape into the real world. Fans were hyped, but here's the kicker. Just 2 months later in May 2015, Disney suddenly canceled Tron Ascension. The official reason? Disney's science fiction movie Tomorrowland had just failed and lost over $100 million. But the real issue was timing. By 2015, Disney had acquired both Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm, giving them the two biggest franchises in Hollywood. But wait, there's more. In 2025, they announced Tron Ares, a completely different project starring Jared Leto. It's still set in the Tron universe, but here's the twist. It focuses on a brand new story about a program named Ares who enters the real world. Essentially, it replaced the canceled Tron Ascension, giving the franchise a new direction rather than continuing where Legacy left off. Green Lantern 2. Speaking of disastrous franchise launches, let's talk about one of the biggest superhero flops ever. In 2011, Warner Brothers wanted their own Marvel-style universe. They chose Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds to start it. They spent $200 million and even wrote the sequel script before the first movie came out. The post-credits scene showed Sinestro putting on the evil yellow ring and becoming a villain, setting up the sequel. Warner Brothers planned to add more Green Lanterns like Jon Stewart and maybe cross over with other DC heroes. They were all in. But then the movie crashed hard. It got 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. People laughed at the CGI costumes. It made only $220 million worldwide. But with the budget and marketing costs, Warner Brothers lost about $200 million. Just 3 months after release, in September 2011, Warner Brothers officially abandoned all sequel plans. And here's where it gets funny. The failure was so complete that it became a cultural punchline, with Ryan Reynolds himself constantly mocking it in his later Deadpool films. The disaster forced Warner Brothers to completely rethink their DC strategy, eventually using Man of Steel in 2013 as the true foundation for the DC Extended Universe instead. Master and Commander 2. Now here's a sequel that never happened, for reasons that had nothing to do with quality. In 2003, director Peter Weir made Master and Commander for 20th Century Fox, starring Russell Crowe as Captain Jack Aubrey and Paul Bettany as his ship's doctor Stephen Maturin during the Napoleonic Wars. The film cost $150 million and got 10 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, and 1 for Best Cinematography and Best Sound Editing. Russell Crowe had signed on for 3 movies, and talks about a sequel happened in 2009. But here's what killed it. The movie made only $212 million worldwide, which wasn't enough. The film faced terrible timing. It opened just weeks before The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King dominated the 2003 holiday season and swept the Oscars. Director Weir also noted that the film came out after Pirates of the Caribbean, and audiences who had just seen a big, fun pirate comedy weren't interested in a serious naval drama. Russell Crowe later said, "We kind of missed the boat." In 2005, the director said a sequel wouldn't happen. The rights have since moved to Disney after their acquisition of Fox, but Crowe's promised trilogy will never be completed. The Golden Compass 2. After the massive success of Lord of the Rings, every studio wanted the next big fantasy franchise. In 2007, New Line Cinema made The Golden Compass, based on Philip Pullman's novel. They spent $180 million on a movie that showed a world where everyone has a talking animal companion. It's based on a trilogy of books, so New Line planned 3 films. They were so confident, they hired a sequel writer before the first film even came out. It even won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, giving executives hope that audiences were ready for this world. But then everything went wrong at once. The Golden Compass faced multiple problems. The Catholic Church launched a huge boycott campaign, calling it atheism for kids and urging families to avoid it, despite the film's toned-down religious content compared to the original book. It made $372 million worldwide, but only $70 million in the US, terrible against its $180 million budget. Critics gave it 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, saying the film watered down what made the book special. But this is the final blow. In October 2008, the financial crisis hit. New Line had just merged with Warner Brothers after expensive failures, and the studio was scared to invest more. Warner Brothers was also developing the Hobbit trilogy, which seemed safer. By 2009, all sequel plans were dead. Bad US box office, poor reviews, studio changes, and the recession all combined to kill the trilogy. The Amazing Spider-Man 3. Finally, let's end with one that still hurts fans today. In 2012, Sony rebooted Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. The first movie made $757 million, so Sony got greedy. They announced parts 3 and 4 plus spin-off movies for villains before part 2 even came out. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 ended with a scene showing a vault full of villain weapons, Dr. Octopus arms, vulture wings, teasing the Sinister Six. Sony had announced The Amazing Spider-Man 3 for June 10, 2016, with a 4th film scheduled for May 4, 2018. But that's not all. Spin-offs were also in development, including Sinister Six, a Venom film, and a Black Cat movie. Sony was building an entire universe, but here's exactly how it all fell apart. When The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in May 2014, it got mixed reviews and made the least money in the franchise despite earning $709 million worldwide. Critics said it had too many villains and no focus. Then the Sony email hack in 2014 exposed that Marvel wanted Spider-Man back. Reports also said Andrew Garfield missed an important press event in Brazil, which upset Sony executives. By early 2015, Sony made a deal with Marvel to bring Spider-Man into the MCU. This canceled The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and all the planned spin-offs. All those villain teases were left hanging, until Garfield surprised fans by returning in Spider-Man: No Way Home 7 years later. So there you have it. Sequels that were this close to happening but never saw the light of day. Which canceled sequel hurt the most? Was it The Amazing Spider-Man 3, or were you holding out hope for another movie on this list? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and show some love with a like and subscribe for more entertainment content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.